You asked the question, who is Kevin Warsh? And I think the answer comes from the president. He's someone well known on both Wall Street and in Washington. He began his career after graduating from Harvard Law and Stanford at Morgan Stanley, then moved from there to the George W. Bush White House in 2002 as an economic advisor. And then Bush appointed him as the youngest Fed governor ever in 2006. Since then, he's lectured at Stanford, but his primary job is advising the legendary investor Stan Druckenmiller at Duquesne Capital. What does Warsh think? Well, Warsh is a critic of the Fed, a harsh critic of the Fed, has been since he left. One of the reasons he left, he said, was because he did not like QE. He thought it was going too far and it expanded the Fed's remit by too much. He wants them to concentrate on fighting inflation. He has that hawkish reputation that you were talking about, but recently has been talking about the idea that AI is going to give us the higher productivity needed to bring inflation down, and therefore maybe the Fed can do a little bit more. He does want a smaller balance sheet. Now, he could go back to the old system of scarce reserves at the Fed. He says the Fed's guilty of mission creep, and he thinks Fed officials over-communicate. And he's praised Mickey Bowman's reforms for bank regulation, but thinks the Fed could give that role up if necessary. He's also willing to work with the Treasury Department, perhaps a new Treasury-Fed accord, to try to keep the economy in as top shape as possible.
Mike, what has he changed his mind about? You touched on it briefly. What's the big one for you?
Well, the big one seems to be he's not as hawkish as he was. I mean, he will tell you that inflation is the key to everything, and the Fed has to focus on bringing inflation down, but he thinks it's more possible. I think that at this point, what Kevin Warsh is telling the president is we can probably continue cutting rates, and it may not be as immediate as you think, but as AI comes online, we'll be able to go lower than other people think. Our star will fall. But perhaps the biggest appeal to the president is the fact that Warsh kind of wants to blow up the Fed and make some major changes in the way it operates.